Hi, hi. So first of all, we are gonna talk about buffers. So what are they? And buffers are like one row of the Excel spreadsheet. So it's you are saving the data in it. So when you are, for example, drawing the plot arrows, everything depends on buffer, and these buffers are indexed in the MetaTrader. For example, the up arrow buffer will have an index of 0 or 1 or 4, and everything, every arrow, every up arrow will be saved into the, for example, if you have buffer for 0, indexed 0 for the up arrow buffers, everything will be saved there. And for down arrows, you have to have different buffers. It's crucial, it's important. You can't save both of them in same buffer. You need to save only one. It's a simple explanation. It's in a more technical way, it's a little bit different, but it makes sense. So what I'm going to talk about right now is just first I'm gonna show you that our script, what it does and how it works. For example, if we have and for Forex Hunter MT54, right? Let's say it's a Forex Hunter MT52, and those first, it has a 4 parameter. For first third is indicator which you are going to send, which you are going to watch and detect the arrows, and first and second is first the up buffer, index of the buffer where the up arrows are saved, and the down buffer number is the index of the buffer where the down arrows are saved. For now, I know that this indicator here, Forex Hunter MT52, is saving up arrows in the buffer 0 and down arrows in the buffer 1. So I'm gonna open the, for example, VPRS signal script here and show you what it does. So it says that it has the indicator buffers of 2 and plots 2. You can only pay attention on this. And when you go down here, now it is a for buffer 0, you see set index buffer. It says set index buffer, so it sets the buffer index 0 and saves all up arrows in here. And then next one is a second buffer, which is the index is 1. But sometimes you don't have an MQL5 script and you can't really know in which buffer is up or down arrow saved. So I have another script for this. This is buffer tester. I will get to this in a moment, but for now I'm gonna just test this script and show you what it does. So so I assigned the buffer value here for Forex MT. I know just that Forex Hunter MT52 has up arrow saved in 0 and down arrow saved in 1. So let's start it, and when it runs, for example, up arrow, it detected the up arrow. It says up arrow. So it's testing mode, so it doesn't send any socket connection or any comments to the software. And actually, when you are in the strategy tester, you can send anything outside of the MetaTrader. So let's continue what it will. So there's a down arrow, so it detected a down arrow here, another down arrow. So when it continues like that, but there is a thing here. So now I'm gonna test it for a VPRS signal, but I'm gonna assume that I don't know where is up or down arrow saved. So how am I gonna know this? So we have a script here which is named buffer tester. So now it says you are gonna just test things with this. There you are saying which indicator are you testing. So and first and you are, for example, assigning buffer 1 number 0 and buffer 2 number 1. What it does is that it draws the check marks in the y-axis of the buffer where the buffer values were drawn. For example, if the arrow is drawn here, for example here, it will draw, it could be arrow or anything in the buffer, it doesn't matter, it just detects those buffers. It will draw the check mark on the y-axis of this arrow or anything, which will, what will be, it doesn't matter. In this case, so I'm saying that test buffer 1, I'm saying that test buffer number for 0 and buffer number 1. So I'm running it for VPRS signal. So when I run it, it will begin. Okay, it began. So it detected that buffer changed and it written something in there, and it drawn the checkmark here. So what is checkmark? What you can get from this checkmark? So when you hover over this checkmark, it says that it's a buffer 0. So now I know that down arrows are saved in buffer 0. So it could be down arrows can be saved in buffer 2 or buffer 3. So in this case, when you will test with these values, and when you know that you can't detect, you will change it. For example, first one will be 2, and buffer 2 number will be 3, and so you will go on and test until you detect the appropriate buffer. So now we detected that it's a buffer 0. So now I'm gonna continue, and this, when I hover over this arrow, it says that it's a buffer 1. So now I know that up arrows are saved in buffer 1. So down arrows in buffer 0 and up arrows in buffer 1. So now when I know this, I can come here and run our plot detector script and tell it that our buffer, our up arrows are not saved in 0, it is saved in 1. Buffer indexed 1 with an index 1. So, and I'm gonna tell it that down arrows are saved in 0. And of course I'm gonna change the Forex Hunter MT52 isn't our script, it's a VPRSI signal. Oh, so wait a second, VPRSI signal, and I'm gonna run it now. So when I run it, I will detect the down arrow. For first down arrow was detected. So let's continue. And what do we have here? Okay, an up arrow was detected. So in the, when the testing is set to true, it just says, it just detects it and prints that it was detected. When you get out from the testing, when you set it false, it writes, for example, if it detects the up arrow and you have testing on the false, it will write here this up command was sent to the socket or something like this, and it will send actual command to our program. But now it's testing and we can't go to real mode because we can't do it in strategy tester right now when the markets are closed. So you can't connect to your sockets when you are in strategy tester. So now, as far as I know, actually, but we have one problem. But first, till we go to this problem, we need to talk about this indicator field. So there's one thing, that when you are saying name, it searches for this indicator in the directory, in the base directory. For example, our IC market moderator NQ5 and indicator. So it searches in this folder. If you want to search, for example, in this folder, examples folder, and if you have indicator there, you need to just say examples and dash. No, sorry. Wait. You know, like this, and it will search example. it will search VPRS signal, the indicator named VPRS signal, in the example. And also, of course, you have to have ex4 file or ex5 file inside this directory, or inside the base directory if you are typing it like this. So that's all. Now we have a problem which is about the parameters of the indicator. For example, if we go to the VPRS signal here and try to launch it, it says it has 3 parameters, and we have no way in this script that we can send the parameters to the VPRS signal. What we can do, actually we can't do anything for this. We have a solution, but at this moment there is no way that our script, actually any expert advisor script, can create a can dynamically generate a number of parameters. Problem is inside the quantity of the parameter. For example, if you have here you have 3 parameters, and here you have, for anti-hunter, you have 1 parameter. So when you are creating a script, there is only one way to do it, and it is you are gonna decide how many parameters are you gonna send, and when you're gonna decide it, the script will be the same. But what we can do now, we have anything else. So I'm gonna show what happens here. So this is a function which calls the indicator. This is the name of the indicator which you are passing from the input. If you want to pass the parameter to this specific indicator, you're gonna, for example, you're gonna send a high price. After that, another parameter will be something, don't know, a low price, and so on and so on. So, and those parameters are passed to the indicator as the input fields. So, in the specific order, and it's important, the order is important. So idea is that it's impossible to generate the dynamically control the size, dynamically control the quantity of the parameters in this case, in this script. So what we're gonna do is, I have created a little program for this, and this program is here. It's called the generator, and it's a template bot file. Template bot file is a text file, you can imagine. There's the same code which is here inside this, but this program, which I'm gonna run now, uses this template to generate a new script. See what happens? So what you're gonna do is, you're gonna tell the script the parameters you are going to send, the type of parameters you are going to send to the indicator, and it will generate a script automatically. For example, if you send 3 parameters, you will have something like par1 and par2 and par3. This script will look like this. To be more specific, what we are talking about when we are talking about the type of parameters, we are only telling it the types. For example, first is an integer, second is a double, and third is a float, or you can have an enum object. So I'm not going to generate this, and it counts the variables here. It helps you to not confuse, to count how many variables. You should have exactly same amount of same quantity of the variables which originally is in the indicator which we're going to send those parameters. Now I'm gonna check out our VPRS signal and say what type of parameters we have. We have integers, 3 integers here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a 3 integer int. It will be, everything should be exactly as it is in the MQL5, but it's basically really easy. It's integer is int, so we have string integer. Count is dependent on these commas. So when you are typing a comma, you're gonna separate these types with commas. So now we have 1. You should not have the comma in the last case because it reads the empty string. So now when you have int, then you have int here and int. So we have 3 now. Now I'm gonna generate the code. When I generate the code, you will see that we have this MQL file here. I'm gonna rename it and call it a D, and take it, let's cut it and take it to the experts, expert advisors, and run it. Now you see that we have additional, it generated 3 variables additionally, and we're gonna compile it and see what happens here. What happens is we have a DEX file here. Now I'm gonna refresh expert advisors. Remember this here? You will see different things soon. When you take these here, in the input fields, you have this type of a thing. You have again VPRS signal, and you have 0, 1, and you can pass the parameters to the VPRS signal with changing those. You can change it in everything you want. So I have tested it in before, and it sets 27, 10, and 10 by default. So don't worry about this. Now I'm gonna normally start it, and let's check out if it detects anything. Down arrow was detected. Up arrow was detected, and again and again and again, and up arrow was detected. Now I'm gonna close this and talk about more about this program. So to use it more in a better way, you can just copy this here. Okay, for example, you can take it template board and generator and cut it. We can create a new folder here, for example, and call it gen, and go inside it and paste it here. So you can have all the code you want here. See, you can create one with int, double, and int. Generates a code. It will create a folder here, so you will not need to copy and paste everything from another folder. Then you change the name of it if you want to create another code, because it will delete this code and creates a new if you do not change the name if you want to generate a new code. Now I will change it, for example, in SS, and let's close this for example for now, just to be more fresh. And I will generate new with float, and I will have this code. I will change the name of it, and it will be face, for example. Then I add enum object here and create code, so and so on, and enum code, and so on and so on. You can have as many scripts as you want, and you can run it from here for any indicator you want, and it will work perfectly. So I think that's all. No, this is a cool type of a thing.